Welcome to the bonus level.
Hello again, and welcome to level 16 of the bonus level podcast. I, of course, am Jack alongside Luch and Josh for another episode. And we're going to get into some more philosophy and psychologically challenged debate about free will and all the stuff that comes along with that. But before we do that, before we dive deep into that discussion, how are you guys doing?
Doing good.
I only play Horde and I like to party.
That is not your line, and I don't know where that's coming from. The week is young. It is midweek, of course.
Hump day.
And it's going okay. It seems to be a little slow. Nicole and I are under the weather a little bit. Got a little bit of sickness going on. So,
Taking
that's
PTO
going on over
for
here.
like the billionth time in a row.
Who? You?
You? Yeah, I don't take PTO.
Me? I don't have PTO ever. I don't get time off. Who do you think I am?
He just walks up straight to his boss and is like, I'm taking the day off and you're going to pay me for it, but it won't be taken off my hours.
And then he just nods.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Captain Jack. Look at me. I am the captain now. They call me Captain Jack for a reason. Anyways, yeah. So kind of been looking forward to this episode for a little while. And it's something that we always kind of like grab at or like kind of hint towards and the different things. Josh, you're known for your debate that none of this is real and we're all in a simulation. And I'm excited to let you get into that a little bit.
Nice.
But before we even get into that, so kind of to preface the debate of free will, right? Is something that obviously has been talked about for a long time, whether or not we have the ability to choose the actions that we take and whether or not everything is, predetermined, right? It's set out before us. No matter what we actually choose, the choice of A or B is an illusion, and we were always going to do, the path that we were going to do, right?
Yeah.
And so that whole concept is a very abstract concept for a finite brain, because we have this ideal that, and it's a lot of, obviously environment and how we're raised and what we're taught, but we have this ideal that, everything that we do has a consequence, has, every action has a reaction kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so that every choice we make, it is put on us that you have to make the right choice because that's your responsibility, because, you don't know what's going to happen X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
But when you really, really think about it, it's very hard to look at it and go, well, I'm actually in control. The things that I do are actually my choices. There's no real way to say, oh, that was 100% me, right? And you look at it in the light of a religion versus non-religion. If you're religious and you believe in a higher power, you like to believe in free will because you want to think that, yes, God in this example lays out a plan for you and you're choosing to follow that path, right?
Yeah.
Whereas,
or not follow it.
Yeah. Whereas on the flip side of that, if you don't believe in those moral constructs, a lot of times you maybe you do think that you're the master of your own fate, but on the other hand, there's no higher power. There's nothing out there. There's nothing controlling. Everything is an accident, right? Everything is, is based on evolution and all of that. So, ultimately, we're just in this timeline for however long our lives are, and that was that. The choices we make are based on the environment that we're raised in and the things that are around us. So your behavior is all based on, everything that surrounds you, and not because of, oh, I want to do X or Y or Z, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my question to start everything off, and then we're going to really dive into it, is I want you to know, and I'm sure everybody else wants to know, what our points of view are. So,
okay.
So Josh, you can go first. Concept of free will versus
I have a very
predetermined.
long thought out explanation of this. We may need to let Luch go
All right.
first.
Okay. All right, Luch, you go first.
Oh, I mean, like, I'm one of the debunkers. I don't believe in that kind of thing, I guess. If you were to put it down
Be
to that, I kind
specific.
of just feel like we're living life as life itself, not as kind of a simulation.
Okay, but we're talking. But leave that part out for now. As far as like not being, so leave the reality part out of it, and just the question of free will versus not free will. Is your life predetermined, or do you have free will to choose the outcomes?
Okay, so, well, if I was to go for that, I would say that it is not predetermined. But do I believe that there is something that knows what will happen? Yes and no. If I was to give it kind of a weird synopsis on that.
Please explain.
So, for instance, like if you watch any kind of movie that has to do with time travel, okay, so
Which
they go in the
doesn't exist.
past.
And can't exist. It can't exist. But go
Well,
ahead.
I'm just saying. So like they change something and then something changes in the future. But like in Harry Potter, they use the time turner thing and they go back in time, but then it was themselves who were, and I know you hate that part of the movie, Jack. So
Yeah.
I won't go too much into that. But that's kind of where I would see it. Like, is it predetermined? No. But I believe that there might be something that will know what we're doing, just doesn't determine if we do it or not. Like is an observer. Like, do you guys, like, for instance, like the theory that everything doesn't happen until it's observed or until it's not observed. Nothing changes if it's being observed. I think quantum Zeno theory. I think that was also in the Escape Room movie. But so that's also one of the things. Like, if there's something observing us, then that means that our role in things won't change.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much is how I'm saying. But it doesn't determine what we do or not.
Got you. Okay.
I think I'm more confused than when we started. Can you give me a too
So-
long didn't read?
So again,
Deal there.
so let's say someone's watching us, whether it be
Okay.
God, an entity, or something. And then that thing, all right, is observing us, and it knows exactly what we're going to do, but doesn't play a part in what we choose.
Okay.
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 But until that thing stops observing us, it won't know what we do and what will happen. Is the premise of it. That's like the theory that nothing will change if it's being observed. Atoms won't change if it's being observed.
Got you. So, so like that would also fit into the religious point of view of like God being all knowing and all powerful, but doesn't actually choose your choices, right? He knows what you're going to choose ultimately, but doesn't actually choose it for you. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Similar to that.
Okay. So that kind of like plays into the religious aspect of it, because that's pretty much how it's viewed, and in I would say probably 90% of religion. But anyway, all right. So good to know. Okay, I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, that would be my theory based on.
Not sure that I agree, but
and that's fine.
Maybe I do. Maybe I don't know. We'll see. I'm gonna let Josh go next though.
Yeah, we're summarizing our ideas on this, and then we're going to get into it. Hopefully by the end of this, we all have a really good understanding where each one's coming from and how you came to that conclusion. I mean, like, I've built my thoughts on where I stand over the past 33 years. So, I'm not expecting to change anyone's stance on this thing with an hour-long podcast. But
sure.
So are either of you familiar with Sam Harris's thoughts on free will?
No.
Okay, so I'm going to try to explain this as best as I possibly can. But basically, so let's think of it. His explanation is basically like this. I'm going to dumb it down, then I'm going to step it up to what he's talking about. But if we look at this on just a very basic level, we have things like statistics where you can run statistics on people and you could say, okay, well, if they fit 5 out of 6 of these categories, then there's a 95% chance that if we show them product A and product B, that they're going to choose product B. Does that make sense to you guys?
Sure. Yeah.
Keep
So
going.
it's just basically they fill all these different categories. So if I give you guys a personality test and I go, okay, well, if they mark all of these to be this particular way, they're going to fall into this category. And people in this category tend to buy product A over product B or something like that. That is right. Like I said, they may say 95% of the time, 90%, 80%, whatever it may be. They can't ever get 100% correct because there's always extra variables in there. Same way that, like, with stereotypes, people may fall into a lot of categories of stereotypes, but every single group or every single individual is different because they are an individual. So they've had their own personal upbringing that even though we may live directly next door to each other, so we have a lot of the same demographics and same, outside effects hitting us and stuff like that, there's still going to be separate occurrences. So what Sam Harris says is basically if there was a way to track not only your nature side of things, like your DNA, your, all that kind of stuff, that big glob of stuff that turns into you, that makes you who you are, like that aspect of things. But if we were also able to track the nurture side of things and every single influence that you've ever had over your entire life to calculate it down, that they would be able to predict with a 100% accuracy your choice in the next scenario. So basically, whatever the next step may be, someone, puts a gun in your face. What are you going to do? Are you going to fight or are you going to run? They would be able to predict 100% accuracy if they knew every single thing that happened up to this point in your life. Now, of course, that's not possible because that would be 33 years worth of time of stuff that they would have to look at, which most of it's probably happened in my own head and decisions and arguments and, theories and stuff like that I've gone through. But so his argument is that we think we have free will because I would say that, yeah, well, someone sticks a gun in my face, I'm going to raise my hands and say, please don't shoot me, because that seems like the logical thing to do. Well, maybe the reason that I believe that way is because over time through my life, I've seen that making the logical decision was the one that paid off the best for me. So I tend to make my decisions that way. So I may think it's free will that I say that I do that, but he argues that it's not free will in the fact that I'm not really the one choosing to do that. I am the sum of all my decisions up to this point, and that's what's telling me to do that. That's his definition on it, if that makes sense to you guys.
Yeah, no, he's a behaviorist. He basically, so it kind of falls into determinism as well. So behaviorists, they actually believe that all of their choices are all only based on their environments. So like their upbringing, all of the influences for each, like you said, for each individual choice that they make play a part in the next choice that they make. And that where everybody's just tricked into thinking that we're choosing based on our own.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely feels like free will. Like I don't ever feel like a Bandersnatch where I don't feel like I have a voice in the back of my head going, do this. And I'm like, I don't want to do that, but I feel like I'm forced to do it. Like it's never anything like that. Like I feel like I go about my day and I do what I want to do and everything. But then at the same time, like I said, if you look at it on like that small scale of if, marketing people know that if you fill out 9 out of 10 of these things correct, that you're going to choose A over B 90% of the time, then you can only imagine with what kind of accuracy they would be able to predict your next move is if they knew every single part of your entire history. And it's like, but
that's behavioralist again, like what Jack said, but it's not really. So have you guys heard of Laplace? Laplace
I don't think
is demon. So Laplace had the theory that if you knew every single mathematical formula in the world, that you can control the outcome of anything.
Okay.
Right? And his description was if you put balls onto a table and you flicked one of the balls, if you could precisely determine where each one of those balls would hit at the exact moment, at the exact angle, at the exact speed, that you can make those balls go wherever you go in a sequence by hitting it exactly where you feel that it goes. If you knew the pretty much measurement, speed, velocity, energy, whatever it takes to move those balls in that manner. And that can, go with anything involving in life.
I mean, I feel like that's almost coming back to what Josh was saying about, the choices as far as, they can determine what's gonna happen.
But that's what I'm saying. Though Laplace is a lot older than Sam Harrison.
Well, that's what, and that's the thing is that I don't even think that has anything to do with free will. At that point, you're just that'd be like saying like, okay, this guy is a very right wing, straight laced right wing politician. Who's he going to vote for in this election? Like make a choice. Like, okay, he's going to vote hardcore Republican because he's like shown every single trait of being a super right wing person, right? So that's more of like there's deductive reasoning based on it's almost like the stereotype thing, but almost way more accurate because of course he's going to do X and not Y.
It's been something that I've looked at with when researching more of what Sam Harris and everything was talking about, was wondering because like I almost feel like if you took the words free will out of it and just took that argument out and all you said was, based on this information that we know about you, if we knew everything that had influenced you up to this point, that we would be able to predict with extreme accuracy what your next choice would be. I think, the logical, reasoning of it would be like, yeah, that sounds pretty accurate. Just like your example, Jack, of, if you fit in all these different categories, we can pretty much guess who you're going to vote for at the end of it. That kind of thing. That makes sense to us. Saying, I think what makes it really controversial is saying, okay, does that fall within the definition of free will? Because I think where, the rub lies is if you already know what I'm going to pick, is it really my choice what I'm picking? I think that's what kind of makes it weird.
Yeah, well, that's where it becomes it becomes a moral question at that point, and not really a, like you said. I mean, the concept of free will, and then as everything predetermined, is one thing. But if we're talking about like, oh well, based on your behavior, your environment, your upbringing, we think that out of these two products, you're going to like A, and it's like, yeah, of course I'm going to like A. B is detrimental to my health because I don't, I've been taught that I shouldn't smoke or do drugs. So of course I'm going to take A, so those really don't have, I don't think they're part of a free will debate. I think it goes back to, so the whole behaviorist thing, people say that, and it's been proven, studies show that, if a child is raised in a violent household, they're more likely to be violent parents. Right. So my point to that is, that's again, yes, upbringing or, environment, and your choices are environment based and imitation. But what about the parent that was a child in a violent household that was abused and raised and grows up and chooses to be above that, chooses to be better than that, and chooses to love and nurture their child and not become a violent parent, not be abusive?
Yeah, and like I said, I think with me, that's because with one, you're looking at it with, maybe a magnifying glass, and the other one, you're looking at their life with a microscope. Whereas if you look at it with a magnifying glass, you see the things like the big things that stand out, the fact that they grew up in that area, they grew up with violent, parents and stuff like that. So statistically, the odds are pretty high for them to do that. But if you really looked at each individual in that scenario, let's say you took 100 people and you looked at each individual one with a microscope, you would find that their lives are actually vastly different.
Sure.
And so the fact that some turned out to be violent parents themselves and others turned out to be really good may have more to do with other factors than what we really even realize,
Yeah, like maybe, growing up with what type of friends, things like that. The other people in their life could also be helping them determine what kind of future they want to be.
Well, there was a crazy thing.
Like
I
a
heard it
Lifetime movie.
on. Sorry to interrupt you, dude. It popped in my head really fast. I didn't want to lose it, but no, on Rogan's podcast the other day, he was talking with this guy, and they were talking about that with kids that there's you can put a kid in a room with a toy that makes noise, and if the toy makes a really loud noise, there are some kids that go, "Ooh, cool toy, makes noise," and they'll crawl over to it. And there's other ones that will hear the noise, they'll scream, cry, and try crawling away. He goes, we can actually predict with really high accuracy, based on what the kid does with a toy, whether or not they're going to go to prom.
Prom?
To prom when they get older, based on the way that they interact with that toy at a young age. Like, that was a study that they did. Wow. And it's crazy to think about, but it's like, and so here you go, maybe a teenager, 16, 17 years old going, I'm going to go to prom. And a scientist could look at you and go, yeah, I knew you were going to do that because of the way that you acted when you were 1 year old and you saw that toy. And it's like, no, I chose to go to prom because I had a hot date. And he's like, yeah, sure. Like, you can believe it all you want. Like,
yeah, okay.
That's the kind of thing that I there's so much to do with free will. And I mean, because I think that there's so many different spectrums that you could take it on. With me, this was the one that I heard, I guess, more recently within the past year that really resonated with me, that the way that I think, this one just made sense. That I don't know, like it's hard for my brain to go down other paths because I hear stuff like that and I'm like, holy crap. Yeah. What am I really choosing? I don't know.
Yeah, and again, I'm going to come around and I'm going to kind of give my 2 cents on it because I didn't actually let you know. So, being raised in a very strict religious household, right? I was taught that free will exists under the premise that God has a plan for you, that He laid it out, that He knew beforehand, that He knew everything that you were going to do before you do it. So ultimately, you choose whether to follow His path or to not, et cetera, et cetera. The issue that I have with that, and that I have more come, to realize recently is that here. So it comes down to the fact that, like, if God knows what you're going to choose one way or another, when you make the choice, is it like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Like, if He knows I'm going to choose yes, okay, great. So that He knows I'm going to choose yes. But if He knows I'm going to choose no and not follow His path, what am I doing here?
Yeah. Well, have you guys seen that? It's like a simulation game where you could choose different warriors to fight, like Battle Simulation or whatever. So there's like a computer game that you can run. It's a battle simulation where you could choose, like, I want foot soldiers, I want, guys with spears or guys with bayonets or whatever, and you can send these armies against each other. And it's a simulation type thing. So you go, okay, I want 100 foot soldiers on this side, I want 100 spearmen on this side, and everybody go. It's like, you're doing that because you know exactly what both sides are going to do. They stick to the plan like that I have for them. I'm choosing specifically spearmen. If that spearman starts shooting a slingshot, then that's when things are going to get weird. We go like, all right, like, when did this guy gain, like, free will is what we would view that as. But yeah, like, if someone is kind of setting the pieces of the game down and saying, all right, now run and follow the path that I set before you, that, to me, would.
Yeah, it's tough to follow, and just to keep going from that, it's like, I don't like, somebody asked me, do you believe in fate, right? And I'm like, if you believe in fate, you believe that your choices don't actually matter. If you actually believe in, well, it was fate that this happened. Fate brought us together. Fate is why we're here.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, there's a difference between something being meant to be and it being fate. Because fate puts you in this construct that no matter what you would have done, no matter what choices you make, you were going to be here. So again, I ask you, what is the point of anything that you do if everything is left up to fate? So I don't believe in it. I don't believe in fate. There's the Terminator line. Chives is going to have to look it up for me, and I don't, because I don't want to mess it up. But it's one of my favorite movie quotes. Hold on, I'll tell you. It is. Sarah Connor said it. Where is
I need
it?
your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle.
Give them to me now. No. Oh, no. So it was actually John Connor, not Sarah. I know she said it too. Anyway, so thanks, Travis. Appreciate you pushing this in front of me here. The future has not been written. There is no fate but what we make for ourselves. And I really like that, because your outcomes, your successes, your missteps, your failures are all results of your choices. And if somebody says, no, you were meant to do that, that's because of your surroundings. You didn't have an actual choice in that. You were always going to do that. You were always going to end up here. It means that the people that continue to fail over and over again, that there's no hope for them. It means that the people that are successful, they can't be proud. They were going to be successful anyway. They were going to be there. All of the choices that they made, they were going to make. All of the choices that led this man to disaster, that the murderers, led them to be lunatics, and everything like that is all based on a product of their environment, and it's been predetermined. And that just simply can't fly if we are free thinking humans. And if you like look on the other side of that and disagree with that, then I would say that you would have a hard time arguing that this is real, that any of this is real, that the world is real, that any of this has a point. And I mean, I guess you can really argue that maybe this doesn't have a point, because if you believe in evolution and the fact that we're all here for, purely by coincidence and accident, then yeah, maybe this has no point to you. But my thinking is that if you believe that everything is left up to fate and not to you, then I don't understand anybody's motivation for doing anything.
And so I have some thoughts about this, because I've given this a lot of thought. Because basically what I was really thinking when I was going through all this was, at what point, along your path in life, do you get to that point where you say, okay, this is where you have those solid sets of beliefs in place, that you have your, I don't know, like I guess, yeah, that would be your main beliefs on things. Because you could present, I've seen lots of different examples of, you present this free will information to people, and you have some people that just go, well, fuck it. If it's already, predetermined what I'm going to do, then I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to be a lazy piece of shit. And you have other people that listen to it and stuff like that, and they continue going on with their daily lives, or even try to figure out how to use it for the betterment of them. And I think that a lot of that has to do with what's gone on in that person's life up to that point, where, there are certain people that you can present them with any kind of information, and, we'll do with it what we please. Like, they could present you, me, and Luch, all three, with the same information. We're all going to process that information differently. We're not, chances are, like, depending on what the situation is, I mean, yes, we're all, males, we're all fairly similar in age and stuff like that. We have similar interests and stuff. So there are chances that we would react fairly similar to some stuff. Like if they said, hey, guess what? You guys all won special tickets to go see Avengers Endgame, this weekend, special screening for you guys. We would all three be excited, because that would interest all of us. But there could be other, philosophical type things that we could be affected with, that maybe for me, I'm like, fuck this. I'm not even getting out of bed tomorrow. But you, Jack, you'd be like, oh my God, this is the best news I've ever heard. Like, I'm pumped about this. This, I can work with this information that I've been given. And Luch may handle it an even different way. So that's kind of where I think about it a lot. It makes me realize, especially with having kids, the kind of information that I'm filling them with, and the kind of um, like I'm really having an issue right now with my 6-year-old that of he'll tell me, he goes, that's hard, and he thinks that that's an excuse to not have to do something anymore. And so I'm
Ooh.
constantly having to, go over with him and go, that's a shitty excuse, dude. Like, just saying that something's hard does not mean that it gets to stop. Like, saying that it's hard, okay, that's it. Let's get over it and let's figure out how to do it. Like they had their spirit night at skate country, the skating rink, and the boys had a lot of fun with it and stuff. So I went on Craigslist, I got them some rollerblades this past weekend, and so today we went out in the driveway and we're skating. And my 6-year-old was like, this isn't the skating rink, this is our driveway, this sucks. I'm like, yeah, well, this is what we got for now until we can go out there. And he's like, it's hard. He's like, I want to go back inside. I'm like, no, like,
Oh man.
just because it's hard doesn't mean that we just give up on things. So, I don't know when these kind of things get put in people's head. I don't know when that got put in his head, that it's hard. So I'm going to, try finding a way around it or run from this problem.
I think
but that's something that I'm trying to work past with him.
Yeah, but I
Just
think
wait till he's a teenager.
I think that's a good example, though. I mean, having kids,
Mhm.
I think it's a very fine line. It's a very dangerous line to toe, to say, you know, are we actually making these choices based on our environment, or are we making these choices because we want to? It's dangerous in the way of, like, it's almost a cop out, right? So, like, again, we see the people that, okay, so you were raised as, yeah, in a terrible home, you were abused, blah 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 blah. That is awful. It's horrible.
Mhm.
I did not I did not experience that. I'm grateful, thankful that I didn't have to experience that. Right?
Yeah.
I experienced all sorts of other things, some good, some bad, but nothing horrible like that. Right? But that does not excuse the person to grow up and do the same thing, to take those same actions, to make the same choices.
Agreed.
So whenever you say, oh well, our choices are not really free will, it's more based on, our surroundings, upbringings, and that's what's influences our each choice. I think that while you're correct, while obviously our upbringing, our the morals that are instilled into you, the friends that you have, what you're allowed to do, what you're not allowed to do, like things like that, all shape who you become. But
Mhm.
in no way does it take the responsibility, the onus off of you to make the choices that you make. You may think like, oh, well, I know I was raised to listen to all country music. So whenever I became an adult and had the chance to have my own radio and turn the radio on, I turned on country music. Yeah, maybe that's,
Did you?
maybe that's what you chose. No, I didn't do that. But my point is that, like, you still chose that maybe that's what you like because that's what you were raised with, but maybe you like that just because you like that. Like, I was raised with listening to, like, oldies, and while I like that, as soon as I had my own radio, I was playing metal because, like, I wanted to listen to something else. So why is that? Is that because, like, I wanted the rebellion? I wanted to be like, yeah, take this, I'm gonna listen to this. Or was it simply like, that's what my taste is?
Hold on real quick. Side note, real quick check. Did you ever listen to metal without your parents knowing and you got caught?
Of course.
What happened? I'm imagining like your life is the that Beastie Boys song, "Fight for Your Right."
It's very similar.
No, not quite. I was a very good kid. But in high school, I would burn CDs, and I finally had got a portable CD player, and I remember, I think it was Rage Against the Machine's "Battle of Los Angeles,"
Ooh.
which is not a good CD for a parent to find. As far as like a strict Christian household.
Did they put it on and then this, like, the disgusting face?
No,
just
I didn't even. I don't
over
even. I think my mom listened to it before, like, when I wasn't there, but then she, like, found it and she snaps it in half.
See, what's
right
so
in
funny is
half.
my parents didn't even listen to it. I had Collective Soul Dosage, and they just saw the name of the band, Collective Soul, and the title of the cassette was Dosage, and they were like, "Oh my God, what is this?" Of course, they didn't say "Oh my God" because
My son's a
Gosh.
Satanist.
yeah,
Gosh.
but it was that kind of thing, and I'm like, you didn't even like. It's Collective Soul like that.
Didn't even give it a
That's flower
chance.
petals in your ear, like that's not
Yeah,
even hard stuff.
yeah. No, for sure. So I remember that, and I think I had even had like another. I think Korn's "Make Yourself" album at
Yeah.
the time. Limp Bizkit's "Hot Dog Flavored Water,"
Yep.
and
Chocolate starfish,
yeah,
hot dog
chocolate
flavored water.
starfish hot dog flavored water, and I think one other one all at the time, like around my CD player, and just all of them snapped. And
God.
and then I was just like, okay. And I just didn't at the time I just didn't understand because I'm just like, it's
Yeah.
just music, right? I mean, whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's the things like that though is just like I chose that.
Hmm.
So for somebody to say like, no, you didn't choose that, that was like you were always going to do that. You were always going to take, and you looking back 34 years, every choice that you made, every conscious choice that you made was predetermined, and now you're here, and you were always meant to be here. And I'm like, it doesn't make any sense because so many choices in the past 6 years, just the past 6 years, from where I lived to where I moved to what I did, every choice, every action had a consequence that moved my timeline along and
Hmm.
moved me from place to place to place in my life. And to say like, oh well, you were always meant to do that. There's a difference between an omniscient power knowing
Yeah.
what you're going to do and knowing the path of your life and being like, this is the path that he's going to lead. He's going to stumble on the way, going to do X, Y, Z, but that's the path he's going to take. And then it being laid out for me to walk without any choice. Like there's a
Well,
difference between knowing what I'm going to do and
hmm
having already chose it for me.
yeah. So
And I
so
think
here's
that's really where it gets for the human finite mind. It gets very. It's almost like, well, what's the difference? If
yeah.
somebody knows what you're going to do, isn't that choosing for you anyway? And it's like, no, they don't have to be mutually exclusive. I don't think.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, so let's take it back and look at it as basic as possible. If you're taking a small child, for example, um, they're they normally have two things they're driving them. You're trying to avoid pain and you're trying to chase pleasure or whatever. Um, those are the kind of things that help determine your decision. Whereas, as a kid, if you make one decision, you will get pleasure. If you choose the other decision, you will get pain. You're more likely than not going to choose the one that brings you pleasure, whether it's, you tell a lie and that gets you an extra piece of candy. If you get caught in the lie and you get the pain, that's over time, I
Get the
think that's when
pain.
you start kind of, determining, am I willing to take this risk? Or maybe, you build up that, can you foresee that I have to go through pain, pain, pain to get to this really good pleasure over here? Like you have to kind of fight through the pain to get to something bigger and better. You have to maybe wait and prolong it before you get the good thing. So you can kind of see those little pathways and stuff like that. That overall kind of set those original belief systems in place. I mean, 'cause it's something that I think about. Like I said, first off, I have two kids, two boys that are 2 years apart. That you know, being raised right there next to each other are so incredibly different. I have a sister and a brother and we're all different in our own ways. I mean, we grew up in this same exact household. My parents are still together. It wasn't like they split and I stayed, in one part of the country and my sister stayed in the other. So it's like, okay, are we this different because she was a first child and I'm a middle child? Or are we different because she's a girl and I'm a boy, so I have testosterone going through my system, so that made me more rebellious. So when presented with the same situation that my sister had, I chose to go about them a different way. What was it that made me choose these different things? Because it's just weird looking at us going through so much of the same
The answer
nurture
is
type stuff.
the answer
but
is
not,
you. The answer is you. You're the variable. That's you. Your brain, your soul, you as a whole is the variable that's different between her. You have different DNA. You have different. Just I mean,
But what if you go through life like let's say you were born with this weird thought in your head that your life is predetermined, right? And you did everything you could not to make it predetermined.
that's the kind of thing that would literally make you go insane because it's like
Imagine that.
it's like if you think, all right, so every one of my choices is predetermined, no matter what, and I'm like, okay, so in my head, I'm thinking, well, it's predetermined that I get up and go to work tomorrow, so I'm going to call off, but it's predetermined that I know that I'm supposed to get up and go to work, but I'm going to call off instead, so I'm going to go to work instead, and it's like, okay, it's like the princess, it's literally like the Princess Bride. You know, you know what I'm talking about? I think we talked about this before.
Wait. Is that Princess Bride or Ella Enchanted?
No. Princess Bride.
Princess Bride, where they sit down to do the drink of poison against each other. Well, I knew that you were going to choose that way, and so I chose this way to make sure because you knew that I was going to, so I did this to make sure.
Yeah, and he just goes back and forth, and you know, and he's sitting there. He's like, "Are you done?" And he's like, "Not even close. I knew that you would know that I would know that you would know that I would know that you would put the poison in front of you, so I switched it and put the poison in front of me." And he's like, okay, so then we drink.
Unless
he's like, no.
Unless you knew that I knew that you put the poison over there.
Yeah. Exactly. So it's that whole thing.
What
and you would literally go back and forth.
That one character needed to be completely random, so he chose everything off the flip of a coin. I'm trying to think of who it was, because I know that
Two-Face?
It wasn't Two-Face. I feel like there's some character in a movie that was trying to hide, go off the grid, not be traceable, and so they were like, I can't make any decision because they'll know that I'm making that decision. I can't remember what it is now.
Yeah,
so
I don't remember.
You guys would
Chives
pop up. If I think about it at some point, I'll bring it back up. But
Chives just expressed to me that he's not answering any more questions because he believes that he was programmed to answer questions.
Yeah.
So.
It's not. I don't believe it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, is that like if you actually sit down and think about, you know, if you try to rationalize it between, oh, if everything is predetermined, can I change my fate? Like if you have that thought, the answer is no, always, because you will always, no matter what conclusion you get to, it's always like, well, that was predetermined that you would know, like, and you would choose the other thing. So you would never be able to be spontaneous. You would never be able to choose anything else. And there is no options, right? So there's no choice A and choice B, no matter how many are laid out in front of you. They can lay out 100 different crayons of all different colors in front of you. And no matter which one you choose, that's the one you were supposed to pick. No matter what.
I like it.
Okay, so I got a question then. So and let me see, just making sure I didn't lose my train of thought with this. Because basically, regardless of what you believe, if you believe that there's fate, if you believe that there's not fate, neither one of those can be proven in any sort of way. So the fact that, you know, it can't be proven, your curiosity is always going to be there to keep you going. I mean, what are you trying to say as far as, you know, if fate, I mean, because I don't think that anyone can 100% believe in fate. They may say like, oh, I believe that, you know, we were meant to be together. Or I believe that fate brought us to this place. But at the end of the day, we know that that's not 100% true.
There are plenty of people that I mean, and the studies and things that you were just talking about are the scientist way of proving that everything is predetermined, that, you know, that we don't actually have free will, that free will is an illusion, and our choices are solely based on our environment and behavior.
Well, I don't
that's
think
exactly
that it's predetermined, because I don't. Well,
it is.
I mean, I guess you could get to a point where you could predict what someone was going to do in a particular situation.
That's exactly what they're saying.
Yeah, but at the same time, no one knows that information enough to be able to affect it. So knowing that information, knowing that me having this conversation, us starting this podcast right here was basically a sum of who I am up to this point, doesn't affect the way that I act one way or another. Because
that's what we believe. But I'm saying that's not. You said that no, you don't think anybody can believe in fate, and I said 100% there are people that can and do, just solely based on that. Because there is no way to prove it. There is no way to prove free will, just like there's no way to prove that there is fate. So no matter what, like I can literally sit here and I can argue from both sides. I can literally sit here and say there's no way for you to prove that everything isn't predetermined, that this is all set out and laid before us. And you can say, well, what if I just choose to do this? And I will always say, no matter what you do, no matter what choice you make, that was always the one that you were going to make.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, I could see someone saying that they believe 100% in fate or something, but at the same time, I've never seen someone act with 100% confident in that there will be no repercussion for their actions.
Well, I don't
Like
think
they're not going to go, I
that's
100%
like-
believe in fate and we're going to get to that point. So therefore, if I just go, fuck it, I'm not going to go into work tomorrow.
But that's the thing. Is that
my life is still going to end up where I'm going to be a pretty princess because
No.
fate is going to make that happen or whatever.
No, exactly. There's a
I
difference.
believe it.
There's a difference between believing in fate and not believing in consequence. I mean, it's like the guy that's like, well, I believe in fate, so everything is predetermined anyway. So if I jump off this bridge, I'm going to live. No, gravity says that if you jump off the bridge, you die.
Mhm.
And if you decide to jump
I
off the
believe
bridge
that.
and die, fate has it that was what you were meant to do.
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean? Like, so if you step out in front of a bus and get hit with the bus, hit by the bus and killed, I mean, can you say that wasn't supposed to happen?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like fate it's not telling someone up front. Like when I was, in kindergarten, that we were given a card that says fate said that you're going to be, a fireman when you get older, that at that point I could see myself going, well, fuck it. I'm not going to go to college because when I get older, I'm going to
be a firefighter
be a fireman, and I don't have to have a bachelor's degree in order to do that. We aren't given that kind of thing. So I think even if you do 100% believe in fate, at the same time, you don't know where that end fate result is going to lead you. So you're still going to continue on with life as a functioning human being, which I think is okay.
But do you think that would make someone a better or worse person? Like if someone was born, right? Or let's say we'll follow like one of those like teenage books that everybody's into nowadays, right? We'll say like at the age of 15, you are automatically determined what your job would be, right? Not based on what you do, like they give you a job, but in like the next 10 years, this is what your career will be.
Yeah.
It's because of the path that you follow. And then let's say you're given janitor, but you're not happy about given janitor.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And you do everything you can to avoid being a janitor, and you have that option.
Yeah, but I think that's kind of goes along with what I was saying as far as not knowing where fate's going to lead you, what path it's going to take you down. So I think because you don't know what path it's going to take you down, everyone's going to do, they're going to try getting through life to the best of their ability or whatever they find to be most comfortable. I mean, they're either going to be content with where they're at now, they're not going to be content, they're going to try to push harder, or they've given up on life, whatever. Everyone's going through their own different situations. But I think that if you believe in fate or whether you don't believe in fate, if you believe in determinism or any of those kind of things, because we don't know what that end result is, we're going to continue doing what we're doing. I think only having the end spoiled for us is going to be the thing that influences our behavior.
But then, and it's definitely a double-edged sword there as well. I mean, I just watched the Matrix the other day, and I knew we were going to talk about this, and I wanted to like revisit this. It's the whole free will, versus fate debate in there. And I don't know if you guys remember last time you saw it. Neo goes to see the Oracle, right? And he's going to see her to see what she's going to tell him. She looks at him, and she's like, "You know what I'm going to tell you?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm not the one." And she's like, "There you go. You're waiting for something. That's what you need to hear." But before that, right before she tells him that, he walks in, he's standing there. And before he does anything, she goes, "Don't worry about the vase." And he's like, "What?" And
like, what vase?
And then
As it
literally
falls off
and then literally he says, "What?" and knocks it over and it breaks, right? And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And she goes, "I said not to worry about it." And he's like, How did you know?" And she's like, "Well, what's actually what's gonna burn you later is if I hadn't told you, would you still have broken it?"
Yeah.
And so the question of like, oh well, if I knew that I was gonna die on October 30th, 2029, would I live differently between now and then? Of course.
Yeah.
Hands down, right? But then it's like, if once you know something like that, that changes your choices, that changes your timeline. So having the knowledge of what's going to happen changes your behavior. So then again, it comes down to, do you actually believe still in that fate? Like, in that
Yeah, because if you
situation,
know that you're gonna die in 10 years or whatever it may be, and you're like, man, I only have 10 years to live. I better make the most out of this. I'm gonna go jump out of airplanes and fuck as many people as I can. Then all of a sudden I get AIDS, and that ends up being what kills me in 10 years.
yeah,
And it's like,
exactly.
well, crap, if I would have, not known that date, if I would have just continued up with my life, would I actually have lived to be longer?
Right,
But actually
right.
knowing that date
And
caused me to do things.
But
that,
again, those
Exactly.
were your actions that led to your inevitable early death.
But you only made those actions based on the fact of what you knew, right? So if you didn't know that you were going to die on that date, or maybe that date wasn't actually set in stone, but you were told that, and that's what sealed it because of your actions based on your knowledge. You know what I mean?
But again, that's also dependent on the person as well. That's if the person wants to go out and bang as many people as they want if they know they're going to die.
Well, I mean, you could use that as a million other examples.
Yeah,
You
they
could
could
go like someone's like,
yeah.
oh God, I don't want that date to be the date that it is. Like, I don't want to die in 10 years. I'm going to be as safe as I possibly can. I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm not going to and something happens to you that way. You never leave your house.
Final
And so
destination
you
crap.
get like, a mold infestation and die of black mold, in that amount of time because you were too afraid to leave your house because you didn't want to die. Like there's so much that can be done with that. I love it.
Yeah, and that's the problem, is that ultimately, you can choose one or the other. I personally choose to not believe in fate because I don't like the feeling. And it's just like Neo, when he said that, he's like, I don't like thinking that I'm not in control. The idea that I'm not in control of my own actions is disturbing, and it makes me think, well, then what's the point? If all this was meant to be, no matter what I did, the choices that I made, I don't have to try. I'm just going to end up where I'm going to end up. And then it's just this vicious cycle of like, well, now you're only down in the dumps. You lost your job, you lost your family only because you didn't care. And it's like, well, no, it was predetermined. And it's like, yeah, it was predetermined because you made those choices, and then that's what happened.
Yeah.
And so,
but
no, I was just going to say, Neo in the Matrix, he gets the information. He's not the one, right? And he doesn't believe in fate. So he doesn't just accept it and go, yeah, I'm not the guy. He goes and he is the one. Like he was told that information, and instead of being like, well, I'm going to die in 2 days, I'm going to go do whatever I want, he still chooses to make the right choice, which I think is important in that scenario.
Yeah. Well, and this is the kind of thing with the movie, is the fact that I believe the Oracle was talking to Trinity, and she's like, what'd you tell him? She goes, I told him exactly what he needed to hear. And it's the same way where if I go, time out, guys, Luch, did you know before Jack said it that he would not like the idea of fate and not like the idea of not having free will? Could you have guessed that about him?
Actually, yeah.
Yes, very much so. I think about this, just the fact that Jack, you and I talked multiple times about how we wanted to move down to the beach together.
Mm-hmm.
One of us lives down on the beach.
Mm-hmm.
The other one of us doesn't. And I can see our personalities in that so much. And it's something that I highly, highly respect about you. It's why you're one of my best friends. And the reason that we have a podcast together is because of you do have this type of personality in you, but dude, I could predict it. I could see, I knew when this conversation was getting brought up, what kind of path you were going to take. And it's,
Does that mean my path isn't my own?
Does that mean, wait, is Josh the one who determines your path?
Are you the architect?
Foresee it. I foresee it because I know Jack better than anybody in the world. Oh, no. Okay, so
I hear Nicole sharpening her knife.
Well, I have a question for you guys, and this is a little bit off topic, but still on the Matrix. If given the choice that
oh man, I love
that
this.
Cyrus had to be freed from the Matrix or stay in it, like what he chose to do, what would you guys choose?
Ignorance is bliss. That's what he says.
Yeah. He said he wanted to be a rock star. He wanted
to be an actor. He wanted to be
or
somebody
an actor,
famous,
yeah.
like an actor.
Yeah.
He goes,
Like-
you know, I know that the computer is telling my brain that this steak is juicy and moist and that it's delicious. He's like, and you know what? I don't care.
Yeah. I've thought about it so much where it's like, you know, the hero in you wants to say, no, I want to be like Neo. But oh my God, he made the right decision. Like,
You think?
Ultimately, he screwed up because he wanted to have his little victory dance like most bad guys do. But in reality, if all he had to do was walk in, pull the plug, then boom, he was back in the Matrix, like living it up, doing what he wanted to do. Like, oh my God, life outside of the Matrix seemed like crap. Like, I don't care.
So you think your choice is to you choose to keep living in the dream world.
I would have worked out a freaking sweet deal with the agents. That actor, why on earth would you want to be an actor? Be like, no, I want to be like, you know, rich like Jeff Bezos. I want to, you know,
I want to be rich.
I want adamantium on my bones and Wolverine claws, please. Because it's like, I mean, they can program me to do anything. I want wings. I want to turn into a transformer. Can I do that? It's like, yeah, dude, whatever. Like, as long as it fit into the realm that you're not going to screw up.
The problem is that they never would have put him back. You know that. They never would have actually put him back. They would have killed him.
But at the same time,
he wouldn't have got what he wanted.
Depending on how painful it would have been. If they would have gone, all right, you're good to go. They plug you into the Matrix and boom, it's just black. Is that the worst way to go? Because he went out a pretty crappy way the other way.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, definitely, yeah, I don't know. Either way, I mean, he's not getting what he's after. And I mean, the whole ignorance is bliss thing is great until you know that it is wrong, right? Yeah, I mean, I know that he asked. He was like, I don't want to remember anything, right? I don't want to remember anything. That's
true.
Fine. That's fine. But like, you're given the choice after you already know that where you're like what you're doing is not real.
Yeah.
So I just feel like that even if he's like, oh well, I don't want to remember anything, and they do put him back in, and you know they decide not to kill him, which isn't realistic. They would have killed him.
Yeah.
But you still are going to have like there's still going to be something like you may not remember what happened, but there's
That's
no
true.
way that the same experience is going to like you go and you like, you know, you find a girlfriend or a wife and you're just like, this isn't real.
Yeah, just
you know what I mean? Like something is not.
That could be
real.
A whole nother movie on its own, where you just constantly you're being eaten alive, going, just I have all the money in the world, like I drive the nicest car, I do this, but something just doesn't feel right. And all of a sudden you wake up and it's like Matrix 1.5.
Yeah,
you know, whatever.
So I mean, and I'm sure you can just like you said, you knew what argument I was going to take. I'm sure you know which pill. You know, I'm not living in a utopian dream world where everything isn't real, you know, and it's just all computer functions.
You're going to suffer and go through the crap to prove, you know.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yes. Yeah. No, I yes. Like I said, that's what I admire about you, because I don't know if I was put in Cyrus's position. It was Cyrus, right?
Yeah.
Is that what it was? Yeah. Cypher. That's it. I knew it wasn't right. Cypher's position. Like I said, I probably would have thought of some weird crap to ask for. Like, I don't know, but I think that also that kind of says where you're kind of at mentally with life on how you would answer a question like that. Like, would you like fighting for things, or would you just like to go, I want to press a reset button. I don't like where my life is ended up. I'd like to, have this other thing. I think we've talked about that reset button before, or, swapping over lives like, hey, I want to be, a mafia kingpin that runs all of, wherever.
See, the thing is though, and this is part of my argument and why I don't really understand why you would be like, oh, just put me in and like leave me. You can go in and be whatever you want and be with whoever you want and be whatever person you want. Mm-hmm. If you're outside of the Matrix, they can plug you in and you can get whatever you want. They can load, you can be a badass, army star. You can be an actor. You can, you can look like whatever you want, like all of that stuff.
Well, except you got agents hunting you down at all turns.
Yeah,
This
but I
one was
mean-
like agents are like, well, you can do all that, but we're going to turn a blind eye. The other way is anytime you plug into the Matrix, you have a finite amount of time before they're going to hunt you down. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like, how long in the Matrix was it in the real world? Didn't it say that? How much time in the
know.
Matrix
I felt like
equal
it
time
was-
in the
it
real
was
world?
equal.
No, it was the
wasn't it?
same. Yeah. It was
Was
all
it-
the
was it
same.
the
Yeah, because it
same?
was happening in real time. Remember when they're on the
Okay.
ship and like he's getting like when they're getting beat up and killed, like it's happening in the chair.
Yeah.
I mean, because I was going to say, like, the Matrix, again, it's a computer, but if you knew how to, hack the Matrix, if you knew how to program it to where you can hide yourself for a certain amount of time, jump in, jump out, and then the agents would have to track you all over again, you could pretty much live whatever kind of life you wanted to
Right.
at that point.
Yeah.
So, Luch, what's your answer?
Answer to what?
The question: red pill or blue pill?
Hold on, run me by me. Which one does which again?
I forget.
I haven't seen the movie in a very long
I think
time.
the red. Wait, Josh. The red pill was down the rabbit hole, right? The blue pill was ignorance. I think that's right.
Chives?
I think it was red and blue. It was his
Well,
right
I
hand.
really- I can't remember this.
Jack answers the question first, and he accidentally picked the wrong pill.
No.
That would be Jack's
No.
life.
No, it's Morpheus holds out his hands and he's
Yeah.
facing Neo, and I think red is in Morpheus's right hand, so Neo's left side, and the blue is in Morpheus's left hand. I'm almost positive. So, Chives, if you could get that, I know you're on strike.
Man, he's such a diligent worker. You need to pay him more, Jack.
I do need to pay him more. He's pulling it up now. He said, begrudgingly.
He takes Bitcoin now.
Does he?
Well,
Yeah.
So in
yeah.
other
it's red,
news-
it's red in the right. Thanks, Chives. It's red in Morpheus's right hand. So red is down the rabbit hole. Blue is ignorance.
What was Neil's life before?
He was a computer programmer at a law firm, or not a law firm, at a software company, and then he was a computer hacker at night.
so
Was
cool.
he? Did he
Total
live a bad life?
2000s badass.
Did he live a bad life? I mean, he was a depressed piece of shit, if that's what you mean.
But I mean,
He just wasn't happy.
was he broke? Was he in debt? Was he anything?
No, he wasn't like in debt. He was just, if you
He was one of
remember,
those people that just felt like he was not living up to his full potential.
yeah. And if you remember, the FBI or whoever, the agents, the government had a huge file on him for all his cyber crimes, and they were willing to wipe it clean if he gave up the location of Morpheus.
Yeah.
So, what is your choice? You're not Neo in this situation. You're you. Okay.
Like if some random guy just came up to
Yeah.
me and said, "Hey,
not
look."
not random guy. Somebody came up to him and was like, "You live in a simulation. Would you like to keep living in it, or would you like to wake up from it?"
Depends on my life.
Your life right now. You're you.
If I'm living the life right now, I would not change it. Ignorance is bliss.
Damn. Okay.
But what if he said, like, he would even, well, I guess if he didn't even have to sweeten the deal with Luch.
No, he doesn't.
He can just go, Luch, I'll just give you your same life that you have now and just forget you ever met me. And Luch is like, yeah.
I mean, if he wants to perk it up, I mean, that's fine. Give me and my wife
and to go back to
a
Josh.
huge house and
Let's
Yeah.
go back to Josh because
I want to look like The Rock.
no, you
I
don't
wanna be
get to
able to
choose. You don't get to
punch
choose in this
through beams.
situation. You're you, right? So it's a Neo situation, but you're you. So Morpheus comes to you and he's like, "This is not real. None of this is real. It's all computer simulation. Would you like to keep living your life the way it is right now, or would you like to wake up? What do you do?"
By the way, Josh, depending on your answer, I'm going to show it to your kids 15 years from now.
Oh, geez. If I had to choose between life right now or waking up,
But you would never
I
know what the
think-
life is after that.
I think I would have to choose waking up because at least at the point that I feel right now, I feel like there's kind of like that Neo thing that, whatever it may be, I don't feel like I'm at the point that I want to be. I feel like that there's more out there that I don't understand that I want to, grow and learn in. I feel like that's a different situation than someone saying, hey, forget this heavy, deep crap over here and we'll give you this magical lifestyle. But yeah, I think if it were compared to where I'm at currently and given the choice of waking up, that I would wake up.
Interesting.
All right, I'm telling you, kids.
No, I mean, I think that just is a more of a question of, would you, like the ignorance is bliss thing. Like, would you rather just go on living knowing that, like, hey, this isn't real? Would you ever be able to enjoy anything again? Would you ever be able to, like,
first of all, my luck,
happy?
right? First of all, okay, if it was really the Matrix world, right? Let's say I took the pill and I woke up, I would be that one idiot that's like, whoa, look at this big pillar, and then takes a step off of the freaking bed thing and you just see, I was the body in the corner that was just falling, hitting each pod as it goes down. Dink, dink. And then Chet, what do you think? What?
Oh my God.
Jack wants to ask you a question. Okay. What's up, Jack?
Hey, Chet, what's going on, my man? Hey, real quick.
Dude, what's up?
Look, I know you're super familiar with, hallucinogens and other things like that. So, like,
I love drugs.
I know. And so, like, the whole choices of, like, which pills to take are kind of tricky for you. But if you were given the choice to...
Well, hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Are we talking about the Matrix?
Yes. The Matrix.
Dude, I love Neopet.
Wait, what? Anyways,
like Neopets, like the little animals that go like
that's the Matrix. You got it. No, back on topic, please. If you were given the option to wake up from the world that you're living in because it's all a dream, or stay in it and just surf waves for the rest of your life, what would you do?
Well, like, how are the waves on the opposite side?
No waves. But dude, no waves, but you'd be living a real life.
Am I in a commercial for Oculus Rift?
Maybe.
Then yeah.
Which one? Which one are you doing? You waking up or you staying and riding waves?
Totally.
Which
what?
Okay. All right, Chet, thanks for the input. Really loved having you on the show as usual. Come again anytime.
It was righteous.
You're awesome. See ya. Tell Luch to come back.
Tittles.
So, Jack, are you familiar with Neuralink?
Neuralink? No.
Okay.
You love them.
So Neuralink is a new endeavor or I don't know how new it is, but it's an endeavor that Elon Musk is going on right now.
Goody. My favorite.
Yeah. So basically, Neuralink is one of the companies founded by Elon Musk. His plan for the company is to save the human race. The idea behind saving humanity is to build a hard drive that can be implanted in the brain.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I do know this. I do. Yeah. I did listen to him talking about this.
Can I get it like an SSD instead?
No.
So basically what he's talked about is he, the fact that he calls us cyborgs. He says that the only difference between us and cyborgs is the fact that we carry around our processor instead of having it, or our hard drive instead of having it implanted in us. So we carry around our phones all the time. He's like, how much smarter are you with a phone or a computer than you are without it? He goes, you're vastly smarter with it. He goes, you can answer pretty much any question pretty much instantly. You can remember flawlessly. Your phone can remember videos, pictures perfectly. Your phone is already an extension of you. You're a cyborg, blah, blah, blah. He goes, the problem is the data rate. It's very slow. It's like a tiny straw of information that we're being able to get from our phones. He says it's a tiny straw of information flow between your biological self and your digital self. He goes, we need to make that tiny straw like a giant, huge, high bandwidth interface river type thing. Mm-hmm. So, of course, this was something that I saw on Reddit today. I was reading about it. The comments are friggin' hilarious because, of course,
everybody's a troll.
Well, it's, the person, the top comment was, will the chip tell me what kind of vehicle I should purchase? Being as it's from the guy who owns a car company. Yeah. So it's like, oh yeah. Or like the other person that said, Oh, and the good news, you won't even need to pay for it with money. Just one commercial break every 30 minutes, you dream. It literally will pay for itself with commercials directly injected into your brain while the chip releases a teeny tiny amount of dopamine, assuring you to buy our product. It's like, there are so many different crazy things that could go along with it. But at the same point, I mean, what his company is set to do is to install a hard drive in our brain, not much different than what they had in the Matrix.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know?
no, I'm not down for that. First of all, we're not cyborgs. Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
by definition, by
Oh, go
definition,
ahead.
we're not, but by practice, we are.
By
Yeah.
practice, we are. By definition, we are not.
No, of course not.
Now, again, one of those things, like if you install some, I'm all for like cybernetic, prosthetics, cybernetic, things to help improve your life, not take it over. For instance, if everybody did install a chip in their brain, what's to stop some great hacker from ruining the lives of everyday man?
Well, see, when you buy the chip, you also have to buy the extended warranty with virus protection.
Yeah. Has to update
Oh my God.
once a
So
week.
have you guys seen anything on Cyberpunk, the video game?
Yes.
Okay. So there's this one part in the game demo where you go rescue this chick, but she has a chip implanted in her that reads all of her vitals.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an insurance company that also acts as like a Navy SEAL team, to where if like you're super injured, they'll like, go in there, bust you out.
Mm-hmm.
And like they're, armed to the teeth, but they also look like paramedics.
Okay.
It was
Yeah.
super cool. And so they had to turn that back on. And then they're like, I forget what they were called. We'll just call them paramedics. Paramedics are on their way. They would put them out to the balcony. They arrive onto the balcony, super armed to the teeth, come out, stabilizer and everything like that. But you only got that with the super premier platinum plus
Yeah.
insurance, and I thought that was super funny and cool.
Well, and that's, I mean, I think that we could easily see what Elon Musk is trying to do here. We can also have watched enough Black Mirror episodes that we could think of a million different ways that this could be absolutely freaking terrifying. But at the same point, like, I mean, I was having a conversation because, like I said, I saw it on Reddit today. So I was having a conversation with my dad at dinner, and we were, discussing the fact of, think about what it takes to get a bachelor's degree or a master's or a PhD. That you have to learn all this information, you have to go to class, sit through class, listen to the information, then you have to take a test and regurgitate the information to show that you know it. If you have something in your brain that allows you to now have a photographic memory, like, and let's just say that all it is installing a hard drive. Let's say that there is no Wi-Fi connected to it, so you're not doing Google searches directly from it. You're not able to pull extra information. You're only able to regurgitate information that you've seen, but you're able to regurgitate it perfectly. Then at that point, you could earn a 4 or an 8 year degree in a month. You just sit there and you read through the books because you're going to memorize every single, like they're going to go, okay, well, in order to have a law degree, you have to read these 20 different law books that are all 800 pages long each. There's no test involved. All they have to, unless you're lying about having read them, but I mean, if you read them, they will be forever imprinted into your head. So if you ever have a question on that information gets pulled up immediately and boom, you're ready to go.
And then that's where storage capacity comes into place.
Well, exactly.
But one of the things is now, okay, and I'll retract what I said. Installing something in your head isn't always bad if there's no connection, like Wi-Fi or network connection or however that works. If you download it into your brain via another source, like for instance, having an output, wherever that would be on your body, or an input, then that would be something understandable. Yeah. Input, wink, wink. But like, for instance, you just got like a big, huge, you got a USB drive poking out of your forehead, right? Just boop, plop that thumb drive in there and you just downloaded the entire encyclopedia, something like that, and then take it out. And then you would be able to close the hatch without anybody getting direct access to it.
There's still so many problems with that, because even with that, the USB drive that you plug in can be corrupted. It can have a virus installed in it. So as soon as you plug it in,
that's why you download McAfee for the human body.
That's the worst idea I've ever heard.
No, so think of this though, because this was something that I brought up, because of course my mom was like, I would never do that, and I was like, yeah, there's going to be some people that would fight it tooth and nail, but I said, think about this situation. Think about it being the crappy situation. You have Wi-Fi, so therefore you're getting commercials, you're getting updates all the time, all the crappy stuff that our internet has on it currently. But now you have A large group of people are just going to chase after that because we already know that there's a billion people on Facebook dealing with that crap already, and they don't care. So you have all those people go ahead and get it. Now, what company is going to hire you as one of their employees when they have a choice between you or someone that has a brain 1,000 times better than you because they did opt for that crap?
Yeah.
How much now are you at a disadvantage in many different functions?
If everybody had that, let's say this becomes widely pronounced, right? Like everybody gets this. It's common practice now, right? You get one when you're born because obviously they're I'm assuming they would be fairly cheap, once it's mass produced or however it goes down. But then that doesn't improve your motor skills at all unless it's connected to some kind of cybernetic prosthetic, right?
Yeah.
So then I feel like the demand for manual laborers would go up significantly.
Sure, but then you're just creating a whole new subclasses of people when they're income and wealth.
It would be a subclass. There would be a giant divide. You would have like your people that are like, I don't care what my life turns into from this. I'm never putting that in my head. But then it's also, I mean, we're saying that without ever have experiencing it. I think the second, as many terrible things as you could have that could go wrong with having a computer in your head, the amount of amazing things that we would see that one person who does plug it into his head that they do, and they're all of a sudden they're taken from, it doesn't matter if they're working, fast food restaurant or garbage man or, if they're in jail, you install that in them, they now are the single most intelligent person on the planet. Their possibilities are endless. The only way that things would change from there is if they have other people to compete against them with that same type of knowledge. But other than that, that person who could be rotting in jail could now be the smartest person on the planet that is curing diseases or whatever.
Let's look at the real thing. Is that ever going to happen, though?
I mean, if from a religious point of view, they think that that's 100% a sign of the end times. Everybody getting
the mark of the beast,
getting a
like
chip.
that?
Everybody getting a chip, an implant, or a barcode, where everybody.
But see, the only thing I could think about that is that's a lot of technology. Like, first of all, like I could see maybe something like that, in the next like 10, 15 years, but it would be a very large machine. It wouldn't be something portable.
No, not at all. I don't know. I mean, how can you think that is so far off or not feasible when we literally have, computers that are more powerful than the computer that supposedly put a spacecraft on the moon in the 70s. I mean,
yeah, but that's the thing, though. That's still technology. You can create smaller and smaller technology, but actually implementing that to the human brain.
All of this, but that's what this Neuralink thing is. That's what he's working on. This is literally, and he's saying, and he's putting it out there that they're very close.
And well, I would say that, okay, so let's say that he's highly over exaggerating. He's still thinking that it's going to be done in his lifetime. And if he's 50 years old and let's say he lives to be 100, that means that we're looking at a possibility of something like this within the next 50 years. So even if that's not close, we're still young enough that we will be alive in 50 years unless some freak accident happens.
So are you guys going to get one?
Hell no. Are you crazy?
No.
Are you serious?
Do you think a war would be caused over these things?
God, yeah. I mean, this is something. This is something that, like, in the religious circle,
it's very apocalyptic.
It's definitely viewed as end times, as world dividing. I mean, the mark of the beast, the Antichrist kind of thing. The figure comes along who supposedly is a proponent for world peace, and
oh my God, Elon Musk.
No, seriously. I mean, there's plenty. I mean, I don't personally think that he is, but there's plenty of people that believe that he is. Definitely, either he is or he's a front runner for.
Is he married?
No, he dates somebody. I forget. He was dating some goth girl for a while. But like we're talking about an apocalyptic world movement. If this rolls out, that there's going to be a huge divide in the human race, and like Josh said, it's going to divide not only people religiously from the secular, it's going to divide people in their wealth classes, because you have people that are going to be infinitely more they're going to be smarter, they're going to have all the information that they need at their fingertips. And then the possibilities of the AI function and just integration with technology is just going to skyrocket. And something like
Oh
that is
yeah.
so, in my opinion, just so dangerous. We risk losing our entire humanity to
Yeah.
technology. I mean, and I know we've talked about this plenty of times before with AI and all of that. I mean, you can't go anywhere today without seeing 90% of people around you on their phone. And I don't just mean
Yeah.
like they have it in their hand. I'm talking about what they're doing, no matter what it is. They're looking at it, they're staring at it. So, like walking around a mall 15 years
Hmm.
ago, everybody would be talking, looking, smiling, laughing, doing whatever, holding hands. Now you walk through a mall, every like 9 out of 10 people are going to be looking down at their phone,
Yeah.
walking around. Then you have the same thing when people are driving. You have the same, like, you can't even go into the bathroom without taking your phone.
Yeah, but God, man, shits used to be so boring, and now like I'm watching Netflix.
That's what I'm
It's
saying.
fantastic. But and so this brings me to one really big point, and I mean this we may have to say this for a whole new podcast. But if you think about it, going back to an example with my kids want to play and have fun all the time, and I have to tell them that's not good for you. Sometimes we have to do work. Sometimes we have to put the iPad down. Sometimes we have to turn the Xbox off and stuff like that. We as adults don't have anyone telling us to do that,
No.
because we're an adult and we can control our own actions. We also don't find what we're doing, social media, or whatever it is that we're doing on our phones or computers to be playing. We consider them different things than playing video games or being distracted by something like that. I think we're almost to the point that as a human race we need to have a conversation with ourselves and go, we understand that this looks so incredibly amazing for humans and for like what things could be like, but at the same time, you know is this what we want to become? Because like I almost feel like we're feeding like technology as ice cream and we're just shoveling it down our throats, and we're going to hit some kind of technological advancement either through AI or Neuralink or whatever the thing happens to be, and then we're going to just vomit all that ice cream back up. And yeah, we're talking apocalyptic type things, that it's almost like we just need to go, I see where all this stuff could be beneficial to us, but is it more beneficial than it is harmful to what we are
I
as
mean,
humans?
the answer, of course, is yes, but that's not, does the human race gonna, yeah, are they gonna like think about that? No, of course not.
I mean, we have a platform right here. We have an obligation to put it out there that we need to have a solution to these people. Because yes, here we are presenting a problem, but we need to have like a
I mean,
like
it's an
a
obvious. There's an
technology
obvious
free night.
solution. Yeah, there's an obvious
I don't know.
solution. I mean, and something like what we've been talking about. We're planning on playing Dungeons and Dragons, and starting out this thing that a lot of us have never done, but really wanted to, or just I've always thought it's like be really awesome. I mean, something like that is it's labeled as some of the most fun you can have with your brain,
Yeah.
where you get to role play and just this whole this fantasy world that you can create and live in without technology. It's all your own creativity. And so
Yeah.
the easy answer is you just unplug from everything. I mean, yeah, it's so convenient to look everything up instantly. I mean, even now, like we have Chives who just gets us all the information that we need in a snap, right? I mean, it's
I would have chives installed in my head.
well, that would be your downfall because
That's
he
the
is
thing,
the
dude.
leader of Skynet.
I think it would be so incredibly
I would be
impossibly hard to turn that kind of stuff down. I think that at the point that we're sitting at now, saying like how scary and there's a lot of bad ways that could go, that I think that really in that situation being presented by it would be incredibly difficult to pass up when you see every single person that you know and that you care about hopping on that same bandwagon and then being light years ahead of you, that they don't even like to talk to you because you're too stupid to even be able to communicate with them.
Yeah.
Like it would be insane. Like, oh my God, dude. It's crazy.
Yeah. No, I mean, I on one hand I agree. It comes down to the morality question again, like, it's easy, but the easy thing isn't always right. I mean, that's,
Yeah.
yeah, it'd be easy to just go along with it and be, a little bit shy of a superhero because you just have all this information at your fingertips. The world is your oyster kind of thing. You can do anything and know everything. I mean, imagine being able to walk up to somebody and before you even have a conversation with them, you just like loaded their entire social media profile. You know what they like, you know what they do, you know where they were, you know who they hang out with, who they're dating, like all of this stuff. You know everything about them before you even have a conversation. Like the information that you'd be able to gain to use to your advantage, whether it was in an interview or, just anything like that. It's social interactions. It's, yeah. I mean, the whole thing
because I mean, that's the thing. I think
scary.
social interactions would change just drastically. I mean, I think we would find like having normal small talk being so redundant, just because of the fact that we literally have so much more at our fingertips that I don't know.
No, and I think that again, we're definitely on a precipice, and I think that even Elon. I mean, I don't agree with everything he says, but for a long time, even though he's been at the forefront of technology and artificial intelligence, he's warned on many occasions on how close we are to passing the brink of it's gone too far. We're to a point where like we can't roll it back, we can't step back away from how far technology has advanced to the point of we're so dependent on it that, like I said, we can't even go use the restroom without taking our phone because it's like
I can,
because you're just like, what do you do? Do you read a book? Do you read a magazine? Or do you sit there with your thoughts? No, you don't.
It's normally a painstaking task. So.
And that, our friends, is the final thought. Oh no!
Fuck yeah,
just writhing in agony.
Yeah, but no, seriously, I think that ultimately both of these debates, the debate on technology, and we ended up just pushing into that from our free will debate. But I think both of those debates are very much intertwined. I think that if you believe in fate and you believe that everything is predetermined, then you would definitely be a proponent for getting this, whatever, the Neuralink, the chip. I mean, why not? Doesn't matter. Nothing matters anyway, right? So why not take advantage of it? I don't know. I will be John Connor leading the resistance. I'll be speaking to you from 2049 after Skynet takes over the world. And if you hear my radio broadcast, you come.
It's actually
find
called
me.
Musknet.
Yeah, Musknet. I'll be Captain Jack broadcasting from Florida. If you can make it here, that we are live.
I love it. I would make such a great second in command, like sidekick.
Yes.
I'm a perfect sidekick. That I think that's the whole reason I would have to take the pill to follow you, because otherwise I would be alone. And
I think it would be cool to like well, obviously, but let's say I sustained like a super huge injury, right? And it made my body useless, so I got put in like this like C-3PO type
thing. You would totally become our chives. You would be like a live-in chives.
I dare say.
Just walking around with a robot body and just a looch head.
Mr. Jack, is that really necessary?
I love it. Yeah, so I had a really fun time discussing that. I think that we had some good points of view from all sides. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. I could keep talking about that forever. If anybody wants to debate
I think we need someone to reach out to us if they have some land somewhere, some kind of compound that we can start
might need it.
working. Well, we need to start like getting it supplied up, built up, and everything for when the time comes that we're ready to go. Because, like I said, Jack will be leading the resistance, and I'll be following.
Anybody that wants to come join the community. I don't know if you heard last week on our Bird Box versus Bandersnatch episode, but if you know anything about me and my beliefs in an apocalypse, there's the dead and then there's us. So
so you better get in with us now, because you can't come after it's already started.
Yep.
Nope.
You better sign up now.
What's that over there? What?
Yep. You better sign up now, or you come knocking, and well, we know how that ends. So
it's over.
That's it. It's over. But that's going to wrap it up for this week's episode. We're going to say that, I mean, Elon Musk and his Neuralink is the final boss at this level, because the man is brilliant, but he is scary. And we'll see what happens in the next few years, technology wise. But I hope you guys enjoyed this level. We had a really fun time discussing free will, and we definitely hope to see you next week.
Fuck yeah.
Hell yeah.
See ya.
Later, taters. 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 Later, taters.